Man vanishes, neighbor opens his package because he knows something's off. Mike opens his squeaky garage doors and a repulsive smell knocks him back. He retches out in disgust as he sets foot inside. Where was the smell coming from? Suddenly, Mike sees his neighbor's package and a terrible feeling hits the pit of his stomach. The smell was coming from whatever was inside the package. At first, he thought perhaps his neighbor had ordered one of those monthly meat subscription boxes. But what was inside the box was not animal meat. It was something truly unimaginable. Mike Jones was an ordinary man in an ordinary town. Throughout the community, many townspeople knew Mike as a friendly and caring neighbor who would be willing to help anybody out. But Mike had no idea what was coming to him when agreed to help a new neighbor out. He thought it was a gesture of kindness, but he was so wrong. Mike had lived in the same house for the past 11 years, and with every new family that moved into the neighborhood, he welcomed them with a smile and a wave. So when his new neighbor asked Mike to pick up any mail or parcels he had delivered while he was away, Mike agreed, as any friendly neighbor would. But Mike had no idea what he was about to uncover. Mike's new neighbor was younger than him. He was one of those YouTubers who seemed to enjoy filming wacky videos in hopes he would go viral. One of those videos included finding an M&M in a pool of Skittles, which Mike just rolled his eyes at. At first, Mike didn't mind. He's just young, he thought. But Mike had no idea the lengths his neighbor would go to become famous. One Friday afternoon, Mike heard a knock at the door. He answered and was surprised to see it was his YouTuber neighbor. It turned out his neighbor was going away for a few weeks and he asked Mike to get his mail while he was gone. Mike was relieved to hear this, at least he'd be out of the way. But Mike had no idea what was coming to him. His neighbor set off the following day and for the first few days, it was merely bills and letters that Mike had retrieved from his neighbor's house. Then one night, Mike came across a package at the front of his neighbor's house. Written on it was "Return to sender" in bright red. Mike didn't know it at the time, but this mysterious package was about to tear his world in two. The package was quite big, and with a struggle, Mike pushed the box over to his home to keep safe for his neighbor. He planned on putting it in his garage, but the parcel was heavy. Mike was a pretty big guy, no stranger to weightlifting at the gym, yet he struggled to move this box. What was inside? He thought maybe it was furniture, but he was so wrong. It took around 15 minutes, and Mike had finally managed to transport his neighbor's large box into his own garage. But as he opened the squeaky garage doors, suddenly he lost grip on the box and it fell to the ground. He heard a crack coming from inside the box, and Mike stopped in his tracks. Whoops. He hoped it was nothing too expensive in there, but Mike had no idea what he had just done. After pushing the box into the corner of the garage, Mike pulled down his squeaky garage doors and headed back inside his home. He had forgotten all about the box until a few days passed and a terrible smell lingered in the house. A few days passed and Mike had noticed a strange smell lingering around his house. At first, it was nothing more than a light odor, but then the smell transformed into something truly horrific. It was like roadkill. Mike searched all around his house but couldn't find the source. But then he realized he hadn't checked his garage. He opened the squeaky garage door and a repulsive smell knocked Mike back. He walked inside the garage, covering his nose. He had no idea what he was about to uncover. Mike scanned all around his garage to try and find the source of the smell. With each step, Mike felt the smell getting stronger and stronger. But then he realized something. The smell was coming from the box in the corner. Mike felt a terrible feeling hit the pit of his stomach as he looked at his neighbor's box. At first, Mike thought perhaps his neighbor had ordered one of those monthly meat subscription boxes. They were incredibly popular throughout the neighborhood. But what was inside the box was not animal meat. It was something truly unimaginable. Mike covered his nose as he got closer to the box. He picked up a pair of scissors and bent down, but then he saw the box was soggy. Mike was repulsed at this. He cut through the top of the box, and just when he thought the smell couldn't get worse, he flipped open the flaps and discovered a new meaning of the word stink. Straight away as Mike opened the box he was met with a smell that was so disgusting, it made Mike retch. Quickly, he ran outside for some fresh air. What was inside the box that stunk so badly? He knew he had to find it out, but he wasn't prepared for what he would find. No amount of air fresheners, sprays, or deodorants could keep the smell from lingering inside Mike's nostrils. He knew he had to go back inside the garage and take a look inside the box. He took a deep breath before walking back into the garage, but he had no idea what he was about to find. Armed with a cloth covering his nose, a garbage bag in one hand, and cleaning bleach in the other, Mike made his way over to the box, ready to get rid of whatever was inside. But as Mike was about to find out he didn't need any of those things. What he was about to find inside the box was nothing that could be cleaned or washed away. It was something that would haunt Mike for years to come. Mike was correct when he guessed that the source of the smell had come from rotting meat. But it wasn't from a pig or a cow. No way. It was from a human. Mike's neighbor in fact. Mike's mouth dropped wide open when he saw his neighbor inside the box. He was evidently dead but in one piece. He ran out of his garage and called for help on his cell phone. Mike felt sick to his stomach. As quick as a flash, the cops turned up, but Mike wasn't prepared for what he would later find out. As expected, the cops took Mike in for interrogation. Seeing as he was the one with a corpse in the garage, thankfully, they realized he had nothing to do with it and let him go. But here was something inside the box alongside his neighbor's corpse that was a crucial piece of evidence. It would change everything and ultimately prove Mike's innocence. The neighbor was holding a vlogging camera. The cops showed Mike the footage from his neighbor's camera. He had no idea what he was going to watch, but he knew he had to find out. Already emotional from uncovering a corpse in his garage, what Mike saw on his neighbor's footage left him even more lost for words. You see, the footage showed Mike's neighbor sat inside the box at a shipping facility. He spoke into the camera and told people he was going to mail himself across the county. He had food, blankets, flashlights, and bottles. The plan was foolproof, or so he thought. His neighbor thought this prank was going to make him go viral. Soon enough people worldwide would hear about the guy that mailed himself home. And people did end up hearing about him, but for a much harrowing reason. Throughout the following hours of footage, Mike's neighbor seemed cool, calm and collected despite being stuck and crammed inside a box. At one point, he told his viewers thought he was in a truck, ready to be delivered. But in the last piece of footage in Mike's neighbor's harrowing video diary, he confidently told the camera he had a feeling he was near home. Then suddenly the box toppled over and the shot went to black. His neighbor had broken his neck. After watching this footage, Mike felt sick to his stomach. While he thought his neighbor was stupid for attempting such a dangerous prank, he never could have expected it would have cost him his life. But there was something that Mike had failed to mention to the police. You see, in his neighbor's footage, just after the box toppled over and his neighbor broke his neck, Mike heard a noise that sounded incredibly familiar. He heard the screeching sound of his own garage door. Could it be Mike was to blame for his neighbor's unfortunate incident? Mike decided to not tell the police officer and he tried to carry on with his life. After all, it wasn't certain that he was to blame, right?